Greetings Multiverse, and I am here with my review of the Injustice movie. Yes, I was very excited for this. This was a movie based on a video game I love, a DC game. This type of thing does not come along often. We've had Batman Assault on Arkham based on the Arkhamverse, but that is it, basically, when it comes to adapting video games into movies, especially DC stuff. It kind of blows my mind. As for the final result, yeah, this is my review. I'm going to be doing full spoilers for this. There is spoilers here, even if you've read all the comics and played all the games, and not all of them are pleasant surprises, I have to say right now. Ready for it? Okay, let's go with it. I generally enjoyed this film. I know I'm sort of like hedging my bets for that because a lot of people do not like this. Most of the thoughts and what is like one of the worst things that DC has ever done. I'm not quite on board with that. Actually, I kind of like this simply because it hit a lot of beats. The biggest issue I have with the Injustice movie is that it's a lot of beats of the comic instead of trying to tell like a single story. It does its best. It does its best to tell a single story, but it does too much. That is absolutely 100% the case. So it really sort of cherry picks from little scenes, even single scenes from all over the Injustice universe, right up until Injustice 2. If you're not familiar with the games or the comics at all, then I think it could work really well as a standalone movie. I do think that no matter who you are, the ending will be unsatisfying, especially the absence of any post-credit scenes or any hints of a sequel, anything like that. It does kind of wrap up a bit too sharply, a bit too predictably, whereas the Injustice 1 game, Injustice Gods Among Us, is far more satisfying when it comes to an ending. A little bit darker, but more satisfying. Even if they just did year 1, that would have a satisfying ending. But it should have been a TV series. It should have been an animated HBO Max series in the vein of Invincible. That would have been perfect. They should not have done this movie. And I really liked it. That's the annoying thing. I enjoyed every part of it, but I was questioning all through the way through. So, you're really doing this? Okay. Right, wait, where's this character gone? Okay, I was going to say spoilers. Yeah, so yeah, spoiler cars. Okay, story, it's sort of mostly year 1, but it takes a lot of elements of year 2, year 3, year 5, I think, an Injustice video game, and the Injustice 2 comic. Bizarrely, of all the things they could cherry pick, they threw that in there to throw it in there, basically. A lot of Tom Taylor's stuff. It's predominantly year 1. It takes some shortcuts, basically. That's the big issue. I mean, this is quite dense. This is just year 1. This is just freaking year 1. That's way more than enough for a single movie. And if you're going to go beyond that, then you have to really have a damn good reason, and I don't think this movie quite qualifies. It's a best of hits of the comic for the most part, rather than its own thing. And that's its biggest issue. I enjoyed all of it, but yeah, some characters get the real short shrift. Plastic Man gets a surprisingly large amount of time, and Mr. Terrific is another one who just you don't think is going to get a lot of time, and yet does. There were characters which are completely cut out, which were major parts of the comic, such as Black Canary, who is not in this at all, even though Green Arrow has a massive role to play. The likes of Shazam and Aquaman have like about one line and then get lost. A few of them appear on screen but don't have any speaking lines and don't really do anything, like Huntress or Killer Frost or Raven. All big names from the comics and the game, and they're just in it briefly with no lines, then they're gone. Nightwing, I don't even want to get into. Nightwing is pretty much how he is in the comics. Obviously he dies in a similar way to how he does in the comics, although sans a rock. I really love his death in the comics. I love how simple it is, how basically accidental it is. It's one of the most moving, frankly, deaths. I mean, I know every fan of Nightwing and everyone in comics in general wants their heroes to go out with like a blaze of glory, with like a a massive fight. The real tragic death of Nightwing is one of the most moving deaths in any comic book because it's so simple and it humanizes Nightwing for me. It humanizes the Bat family in particular and reminds you how straightforwardly human these guys are. Immediately kind of undermine the death by going straight into the Ramakrishna stuff with him becoming Dead Man. They just sort of go straight into that and they're, okay, we're doing this. Alright, fine. Why? I'm still not sure why they decided to go that route. It's a weird choice for the movie, certainly. Wonder Woman gets off quite well. I'm going to say that now. She is done kind of dirty in the games, where she's actually the biggest psychopath of the lot. She's far more evil than Superman. Superman at least has a tragic backstory. She wasn't given a tragic backstory until like the very end of the Injustice 2 comic. She was just evil. But whereas the movie redeems her a lot more. She's going along with Superman, she trusts him, but she isn't outright evil and in the end backs away from his evilness. And that's a lot more true to Diana's character. You can see Wonder Woman here a lot more. Whereas Batman is kind of a dick, to be honest. He's kind of one of the worst. And so to the point where you actually don't know whose side you're on, Superman or Batman. There's a real sort of civil war going on here, as in I'm talking about Captain America's civil war. Whereas in the comic it's pretty much clear-cut the resistance of the good guys. Whereas this one it's a lot, until Superman goes really nuts, it's a lot more like shades of grey. Until, like I said, Superman really lets loose. But we will never get the regime in this movie universe. That's one of the weird oddities about this. They've completely cut off the possibility of a sequel of this. There's no possibility of the regime. The regime aren't even mentioned. We don't get to Injustice 1 before the whole universe is sort of like crumpled up and thrown away. Although the ending is deeply, deeply unsatisfying. It just kind of happens. So Superman just gives up and goes away. There's kind of no resolution beyond that. It's just a lot of stuff cut out or is in there and there shouldn't be, to be honest. I can't believe I'm saying, oh god, yes, Flash. Now, I quite like the early surprise of the Flash dying. I realise that the Flash dying in this is probably, apart from Nightwing, the most talked about thing. The reason it's talked about is because it makes no frickin' sense. I mean, I like him dying. That's a nice twist. Sorry, Flash. But it's certainly one that I didn't suspect. Played with my expectations quite a lot. I mean, whoa, Flash is dead. Brilliant. It's the way it's kind of done off-screen and done as if he wasn't the fastest man alive, as if he was some just like regular guy with no superpowers. Joker just laid a trap and it just worked. And he died. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Let's be honest, it does not make any sense. And so I like the idea of him dying as just to throw all the rules out the window for this adaptation. They did it kind of badly. But it's more annoying that they introduce so many characters, even like I said, give some of them like a single lines like Aquaman or Shazam, and then just dispense with them. They just get lost. Why bother having them in at all? Why not restrict the cast, bring in just like a few people, have the Justice League smaller, and then do it that way? I think that would work much better, basically. Why not just cut out all the people who you're not going to use and then just focus on a few characters? And in particular, Superman's descent into, madness, basically. Just focus on that. Plastic Man is one of the biggest characters in the movie. They obviously loved doing Plastic Man, and they obviously had some really good material to work with Plastic Man. He's a major part of the comics and really fun part as well. But I don't know. I don't know a lot of what they were thinking with this movie. I know what they were thinking. They were trying to do everything. They were trying to really sort of thought they could cherry pick bits from the comics and then put them together into a movie, instead of just focusing on one thing. They tried to do everything and it kind of bit them in the ass. And now they're getting pretty poor reviews. It is rushed. It rushes through the story. It doesn't tell enough of the story. it should have concentrated more. Even if they just concentrated on the game story and just tried to change up a bit and maybe cut out a few characters from the game story to focus it a lot more and change things around a bit and have the regime. They didn't even have to like bring in the alternate universe characters. They could have just literally done the Injustice characters in the Injustice 1 story, and that would have actually been quite cool. That twisted the Injustice 1 story to make it more sense with just the core cast of the Injustice universe. In the same way that Injustice 2 cut out the alternate universe entirely. They could have thought of some way to tell Injustice 1's story without the regular DC Universe characters. If they worked out a way to do it, and worked out a way to make a satisfying story, that would have made a lot more sense. Even if they just had, like, say, Superboy standing up to Superman, or something like that, or turning the tide and having Wonder Woman join them, or some way, or some character who could stand up to Superman, or just beat him down, or something like that. No, that's what they went with, and this is what we got. For me, it was quite an enjoyable movie. But it has so many flaws, and it packs too much in. It is way too ambitious, and it didn't need to be. I respect ambition when it comes to movies, but packing things in, cramming them in, and not really following the nuance of the storyline, no. They try to cherry pick the best scenes from the comics, but didn't completely understand them. Or at least didn't respect the storyline enough. Well, never mind. Never mind. I still enjoyed it and I will enjoy it again, I'm sure. But yeah, for now, what did you guys think of the Injustice movie, if you have seen it already? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, please like, share and subscribe. That already helps me out. And check out other videos on DC Comics Gamer. I've got one explaining the ending of all this and including where that Superman and Lois actually came from and will there be a sequel. I've answered it in the review a little bit, but there you go. It's right there above my head. Also, I've got stuff on Injustice 3, all various news on that, including whether the Suicide Squad is hinting at Injustice 3. But for now, Multiverse, out.